Hey guys, Eric from Team Rec here, coming at you with another deck profile. As you can see, we took Purrely today. We took it undefeated at the OTS Holiday Charity event. Really fun event, and cool to do something for a good cause. But let's get right into it. It was a smaller tournament. It was about 19 people, I believe. Record was 4-0. I faced Flu, Tier, Exo Sister, and Earth Arctic. But jumping into the profile, we got our standard Purrely ratios here. I really love 3 field spell. I feel like once you have it up, like you can get so much setup and value out of your crackback, so to speak, or even setup. Like getting that extra attached from the deck is insane. This card just does so much. And then, like, aside from the protection and resource management, you also have the recursion. Having this up with my friend is really strong, and if you're doing your setup with cards like Happy Memory, you're obviously protecting those from getting destroyed. So it's a really tough board to break. And the whole idea of playing threes is that my friend is a guaranteed search for a lot of cards. So, of course, when Delicious Memory got limited, that kind of hurt the deck. But I can kind of see why they limited that card, because the deck's pretty gross with 3. But that's it for those Purrely cards. And then the quick plays. We all know we're on the 3 pretty, 3 happy, 3 sleepy, 1 delicious, and 1 yeep. There might be arguments for multiple yeep one day, like depending on how this deck gets hit. Like for example, with Purrely and Delicious Memory, both at 2 in Master Duel. I play multiple of those because the games are a lot more grindy with Max C. But, with TCG, we don't really have that sort of dynamic. So I think 1 yeep's fine. You just need it for going first, and then it does come up because it can play around targeting. But that's the Purrely engine. It's probably pretty standard based on what you see for most decks. And then I play 2 Prosperity. I think 3 is a little bit overkill for this deck. There's a lot of ways to sort of circle back into certain resources, and like with Sleepy drawing you so much. Like, here's the thing, you're not winning early on with this deck. It has a tough time closing, and you might think that might be better to have more Prosperity for, but I think this is like a 3 for pot would probably be better for like a faster, more lethal deck, like combo. But I just like the 2 because with your recursion with my friend and street, you're pretty resource rich throughout most of the game. Pot's just really good for searching side cards, but I often will take those out going second, but only have them in going first for searching cards like Summon Limit or Solemn. And you're obviously thinning your deck with the Purrely engine like severely. So if you can crack off pot pretty late, if you're hitting 6, it's pretty easy to see what you need. I play the 1 of Talents. I might actually up this. It feels like a very hand trappy format, and I feel like that's just gonna get worse. And Talents isn't as dead as it was not too long ago. I usually resolve this like every game when I see it. And then it's good in decks like Tier and Flu that like to play on your turn. And then, of course, the beauty with this deck is you just pitch what you don't need. Triple Fenrir. This card's like bad, but it's good. Definitely leaning on the good side, obviously. Like this solos, simplified game states, which is crazy. So I beat Exo Sister, I just topped into Fenrir and was able to just slow the whole game down, as he wasn't drawing engine. So card's clutch. Feels really good starting your turn with Fenrir and away to Noir and then extra bodies. Like often I was ending with Purrely Noir, Fenrir, SP off of a pretty decent hand. And that was a pretty consistent end board going first. So Fenrir is a nice touch for it too. And then of course it plays into boards really well. It's a great going second card. But I do like to side it out in favor of more impactful cards in the side in certain matchups. Triple Ash, I'll just go through the hand traps. Triple Ash, triple Droll, triple Veiler, triple Imperm. Really torn on Nib. It's honestly either Droll or Nib. It just depends on, it's kind of a locals thing, just what I think I'll see. Just was a day where I thought I'd get a lot of value out of Droll and not Nibiru. But Veiler, Ash, and Imperm, I think, are just sort of mainstays. Veiler not being once per turn just feels really good off of the Sleepy Memory. So that's it for the deck. Moving into the extra deck, this should all be mostly pretty standard. The Purrely extra deck doesn't have too much flex in it, but we're on the 2 Noir, 2 Happy, 2 Beauty. I do see people playing around with one-ofs for either one of those, but I feel like this is a pretty grindy format, and you get a lot of mileage having multiple. Mainly Beauty, because I find the best way to break boards is just attaching shit, and if you have field spell up, it feels like you're just soloing the game. Like Happiness, I think if you get it off, you've won. You don't need a second one, but it makes my prosperity a little bit easier. So, and even just going into bodies to trigger like the street and my friend are good as well. So I kind of like having more Purrely Xyz for the grind game. And then I'm on the 2 one-ofs here, Plump, Noir. You don't really need to do your thing with those multiple times. You can also recycle with the trap card, Zeus, and then Anti-Zeus or Typhon, whatever you want to call it. This card's great, but it's like, it's never in the forefront of your mind. Well, maybe if you're a really good player or a good player at that, you're thinking about it. But sometimes it's hard to be, it's easy to be absent-minded about being able to make the card. So try to be more conscious of that. But when I did actually get this off, it did work. It's really good as just sort of a last resort, last follow-up play. I think it's a good mainstay for the Purrely Extra. Like Age of Overlord did a lot for this deck, just in terms of extra deck. And then I guess like the 2 flex rank 1s. I don't think this is as important. It's kind of win more. I feel like before Noir came out, this was better. I think this card is really good. It's like an alternate win con. If you can't get around a board, just attack directly. And then you can also protect yourself. The more ways this deck has to live, the better. Like if you can live a crackback, you can usually win the game by just controlling it on the next turn. I play an SP. You don't need to play more than 1. I usually like just starting off with this, especially in game 2, when I know that I'm going to see board breakers like evenly. It makes their evenly that much worse. So you have Noir, SP, and another body. You can always take 2 cards out of the equation, and then they're usually taking out, like how would it usually work? Like I'd lose my friend in the street, and SP and another body would leave the field, and I just keep my Noir, and then next turn I get this back, and you can even save like one of your Purrelys. So if you want to banish this and a Purrely, you have it for next turn to use rather than them running it over by battle, and like you've already used the trap, and that kind of gets to be a headache in terms of recycling your resources. So SP is low-key a good resource management card. Dark, I think it's really good. Makes SP very easily. You know, you see a lot of decks like Tier. Comes up a lot. Anima, people still don't respect the Anima zone, and I don't blame them, because like this is like the only deck where you're really gonna get caught off guard with it. Maybe there's like Volcanics now, but yeah, you gotta play Anima, and then you bridge an SP with it. So yeah, that's the extra side deck. I'm on 1 Pankratops. Card's insane. I never see it when I side it though, but I just know it's insane. Triple nib. Like I said, I just float between these and draw based on like what I think I'm gonna see, but I feel like those are the 2 most high impact, like turn ending hand traps when timed right. 3 Book of Eclipse. A little different. Like I know this is more like old school Purrely, so to speak, but I still feel this card's pretty insane. It deals with like that weird stuff with like Hydrant or the Mirror Match. Like it's kind of trendy to play around targeting, but it's like if my stuff doesn't target, who cares? But this also just helps you live. Now that we have SP, that's more of your answer to D-Barrier than this, but I still think this card's insane. And like I said, if you give this deck another turn to live, it's usually lethal. In a control standpoint, they usually can't get you down to 0 life, but still. Board breakers, we're on the Duster and 2 Storm. I feel like this is pretty standard. You just need that extra push for this deck, because you're often trading with back row and floods. So if you can just make it easier and simplify the game state, like Happy and Beauty attaching usually wins. And then just rounding out the side deck is some going first stuff. We got the 3 summon limit, 2 solemn. These get bricky, the solemns. I think summon limit's way more impactful when timed right, especially with decks that can't afford a lot of non-engine like Tier. And then solemn's just, I think this card's insane. Like you stop a lot of normals or even specials, and it can just stop people's turns. It actually happened to me, like when I got solemned on my Noir. That shit sucked. So that's the deck. It's probably not too innovative because it's Purrely, and they're just really limited with their non-engine and what works with them. But yeah, that's the deck. Hopefully going to regionals soon. I might take this, but for now, stay tuned for more content. We're going to try to pick up on that again. So be sure to like, and if you haven't already, subscribe. But yeah, take her easy.